Did you remember? Okay. All good. Well, we'll settle into a little meditation first. I need this. It's been busy. So I invite everyone to just close your eyes. And put all your awareness on your breath. And if you can, breathe through your nose. Place the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, just barely touching. And then just for 3 to 5 seconds, tighten your anus, okay? And feel the surge of energy go through the center channel. Sometimes they give you a shiver through your spine. This is a very powerful way to just flush that center channel. Put both hands over your lower abdomen. And then breathe into your lower dantian. So your awareness is in the lower dantian. And we're breathing into the lower dantian. And notice that when the breath is in the lower dantian and the mind is in the lower dantian, there is no time, no past, no future. No leaking of energy. And like the first week, we're just going to feel and see light. So see light, universal light coming from everywhere. Any external noises you hear here, just let them come, let them go. And just see light pouring into the first soul house. The first chakra. And it acts like a pump. There's a jindan there. Golden light ball there. And the light moves up to the second chakra or soul house, energy center, whatever you want to call it. And feel gratitude. And breathe into gratitude. Breathe into it. Breathe it in, breathe it out. So much to be grateful for. And from this state of gratitude, we're going to invoke the soul world. So staying in the lower dantian. See that there's no limit to what we can do with the mind. So if I say visualize light in the first and second chakras, and also keep your mind in your lower dantian, this is all training the mind. It's like training a muscle. Okay, you might only be able to do certain exercises, but the more you train, you'll be able to multitask. You can do more exercises. You might be able to, do a number of things. We want to keep training the mind so that we can learn to engage with our family, for example. Maybe still hold a polite conversation and still have our focus in our jinda. People might not know we're doing Shulian, spiritual practice. We can have a conversation. We can stay in the workplace, and we might be bringing a jindan up our center channel, down our back. No one knows what we're doing. We're doing spiritual practice. We might be radiating light from our being and nourishing our workplace, nourishing the person that we're talking to. This is the power of mind power, okay? So don't let it get overwhelming. And if you can't do it at first, just hold the focus where you can hold it. But we can hold, and we're going to train this every week. We're going to learn to be able to hold the vision of 10 jindans in all 10 spaces of the body at once. Okay. So right now, just have your focus breathing into your lower dantian, but be aware that the first 2 chakras of the body have 2 bright, powerful jindans. And the 2 of them are forming one big light field that is nourishing our sexual organs, our digestive system, and more. Our kidneys, our bladder. And we invoke the soul will. Dear Divine, dear the Tao, dear all layers of heaven's committees. If you have a spiritual teacher, physical teacher, call them. There are countless healing angels, archangels, holy saints, Taoist saints, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, heaven's generals, soldiers, Akashic record workers, keepers, leaders, ascended masters, lamas, gurujis, kahunas, rinpoches, elders of the lands, heavenly bodies, the sun and the moon, Tien, all layers of heaven, Di, Mother Earth, Ren, all humanity and all life. We apologize for our mistakes in this life and past lives and our ancestors' mistakes. Never underestimate the power of an apology. Physically, say sorry to someone. You might be ready for a deep argument. Wait till I see Nick. I'm going to tell him this, that, and the other. You see me? I'm really sorry I upset you. Okay. I can't say anything from there. Okay. He's apologized and he meant it. When we humbly and sincerely apologize for any suffering we may have caused in this life or past lives, not from a place of guilt, but just honesty and sincerity. I apologize. I've made mistakes in the past. And my ancestors have, please forgive us. And you offer unconditional forgiveness. Dear all souls, Wanling, anyone that's ever hurt me or my ancestors or each other, I forgive you unconditionally. May we join as one in love, peace, and harmony. Never underestimate that power. Ask God, ask Tao for forgiveness, your spiritual fathers and mothers for forgiveness. And see and feel light, spiritual light, purifying our spiritual debt, which is healing us, but it's also freeing souls that are entangled in our karma. Send all beings all our love from our heart. If there's anyone and anyone specific you want to heal, or you want to even invite into these sessions, okay? Just let's say we get 15 people on the line. If you think that your son, a transitioned loved one, anybody you think might benefit from these, you can, when we do these invocations, you can say, dear soul, mind, body of my mother, of my son, my wife, anyone, please come and join these practices and these teachings. And they will receive them on a soul level. The last retreat I did with my spiritual teacher, he said, everybody who's on the line, there's hundreds of people, He said you can write your insights from meditations in the comments. And then at the end of, before we went on a break, Master Shah would say, everybody call your soul to read all of the comments, all the insights, so that we can each gain the wisdom from each other, because everyone gets different insights on the one teaching. And this is a great teaching, okay? So we can call our loved ones' souls in. And we'll just do 2 simple mantras to start. I forgive you means I forgive all beings. Please forgive me, all beings. Please forgive me. Call in all souls, forgive each other. Feel that, see that. Bring universal love, peace, harmony. I love my heart and soul. Love and forgive yourself. I love all humanity and all beings. Join hearts and souls together. See the physical world and the spiritual world and all beings joining as one to bring universal love, peace, and harmony. And we'll just take a few breaths in this space. And from this space, I will read the next chapter. Empty your mind of all thoughts and let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king, immersed in the wonder of the Tao. You can deal with whatever life brings you, and when death comes, you are ready. Beautiful chapter. And when you guys are ready, you can obviously open your eyes and share whatever you want, ask any questions. Empty your mind. Oh, sorry, go on. Yep. Who's that?
Sorry. So that's me, Nick. I just wanted to share that when, and I've had some challenging days off and on during the past 7 days, and the Lula, what's his name, Master Shah's video, Peace and Harmony, and then you just saying the words then as well, or some parts of it, and I've found it incredibly healing, and also really lifts my vibration, my frequency, and I'm really noticing personally a very deep transformation that's going on within me through the learnings that I'm getting from being here in this group. So, and I know that I shared a little bit of this with you already, but I just really wanted to acknowledge you in the group and the presence of the group too, because for me personally, it's very powerful.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it is the power of a group. You know, we've had so many healing testimonials. I don't share many healing testimonials, but when I was in Nelson Bay, we had a woman that was turning up, and she was very quiet for the first few weeks. And she shared after like maybe four sessions, 4 weeks, she said her daughter died at the age of 13, I think the daughter was. And long story short, the woman who was sharing developed a heart condition, and she got diagnosed with broken heart syndrome. So it's when you're emotionally so brokenhearted, you manifest an illness or like something wrong with the heart.
Mm.
And she was booked in to get an operation on her heart. And the last checkup she went for before the operation, they said, we can't find anything wrong with your heart. They said, what have you been doing different? She said, I've just been attending a meditation group. And he said, well, keep doing it. And the reason I'm sharing it here is because I got a lot of insight from that, just on the power of a community, a group where you can come, you can be yourself, you can share and have a conversation on things that are much deeper than the news or the football or, you know, what you're having for dinner, and just feel supported. So I get as much, if not more, as you all do as well. So I'm very grateful you're all here. So thank you so much. And that song, Love, Peace, Harmony, by the way, I think I'm going to finish on that. When we get to the end of the chapters on this, I'm going to do one of our nights will be a short presentation on that, because it really is the song of this era, believe it or not. It's the song of my teachers. He's released so many different mantras, and I'm talking like not just the ones he's released on CD, but every one of his books. He balances 50% theory, 50% practice, yin yang balance. So there's many, many different mantras, but love, peace, harmony is a seriously powerful mantra if you chanted that only for the rest of your life. And what a lot of people don't realize is you don't necessarily have to chant it. If you just play it in your home, and there's many testimonials, you can find them. There was a woman who had, I think there was a landslide. There was another person who was in a fire. And the only houses that were not affected was hers playing Love, Peace, Harmony. There's people who've had incredible experiences, even businesses. A person who had a hotel was really struggling, and same as you, was working with the mantra and felt the benefits himself. So he put a CD player, or he played it in every single room of the hotel, and literally was booked out for the next like 12 months or whatever. He basically, his business was booming. So there's many, many stories about Love, Peace, Harmony.
Yeah, I just want to say I felt it as well, like in terms of I have it because I have distilled water that I make myself, and I have it playing as I'm distilling the water so that the vibration goes through to my water. But the other thing that I have been getting into the practice of doing is I have a Carolyn bowl as well, which lets out a beautiful high vibrational frequency, and I listen to the song and I'll sing it as I'm playing the bowl as well. And it's really powerful, Nick. It really is.
Yeah, beautiful. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but Master Sha was actually really close friends with Dr. Emoto. You know, the guy who did the messages in water. When Dr. Emoto died, Master Sha gave him a massive blessing, uplifted his soul for his contribution to humanity. And he was very influential with Dr. Emoto in his research as well. And there's a lot of, I've got a few photos of the two of them having dinner together and whatever. So yeah, it's very important. Master Sha he's been telling us for years, he's saying, the future, we don't know how we're going to be purifying our water with physical means. We're going to need to use spiritual means to purify our water.
Yeah.
And I could go down the water road so much. I want to do a presentation on water. I've had so much insight into water, and I've just listened to a fascinating podcast. If you have, I might share it with the group, because
please could you, because I'm actually going on a long drive tomorrow, and I would love to listen to it while I'm driving.
After this, I'll share it. It's fascinating on water. But there's the first hour's free on the podcast. The second hour, you have to use I'll send my login details so you can log in to listen to the second hour. So
thank you so much.
That's all good.
Cool.
Okay. Empty your mind of all thoughts and let your heart be at peace. As simple as that. And that makes so much sense. I mean, you think about it, how many people right now, I wanted to do a video on this, to be honest with you, over the last couple of days, because so many people right now are not aware that the information they're taking in is shaping their reality. A book that I read recently from a mountain in Tibet, he talks about doing these 45-day dark retreats where he's in complete darkness. And he said they're dangerous if you have not got hold of your mind, because the mind can project really vivid hallucinations. Like he even had one, I may have shared this last time we were on, sorry if I repeat myself, but he had a vision where maggots were eating his arm, and he knew that it was the mind, and he was able to get through it. But he said the mind literally will project the reality even when the senses have been, you cancel out many of the senses. The mind will project the reality that looks as real as the real world. And he said the reason for these dark retreats is because they help get rid of the ego. They help the death process for different reasons. But he said it's also helps you to understand the nature of reality being illusory. Because when the mind projects, when his arm was getting eaten by maggots, it didn't look like it was dark. He was seeing his arm. So it's really interesting because there's some research into this as well. So a lot of people right now are just really getting addicted to listening or watching information that's just not benefiting them at all, and it's shaping their reality. And the dark forces understand this is how the process works. So this, I could tattoo this on my arm: empty your mind of all thoughts and let your heart be at peace. If you only took one sentence from this whole book, that'd be a good one. So watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. This goes back to never get these teachings enough. Okay. Every time I look at this, Master Shah says we should meditate and look at this. Just look at it when you meditate. And there's a mantra to this. We can do it 1 week, which is to chant the Tao normal creation, Tao reverse creation. Because he says in terms of wisdom, this is the highest wisdom. He said, no matter how high a retreat he does, the depths into this Tao normal and reverse creation is the highest wisdom. Love, peace, harmony, and all the mantras are the reverse creation. Okay, it's when we chant for all beings, we're helping all beings who are in Wan Wu. We're helping all those beings that are stuck in the karmic cycle of birth, old age, sickness, and death, and accumulating more karma. When we chant Shen Qi Jing Hui, Qian Di Ren Hui, Wan Ling Rong He, love, peace, harmony, all these mantras, for all beings, we are helping all beings return back home to the Tao. Oh, sorry. So watch the turmoil of beings. It's like sometimes when you look at like a train station like that from a distance, everyone's just doing their thing. Everyone's just chaotic. It's turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Everything's on its return cycle back to the Tao, and we can help them. We can help them return back to here, the Wu, the Kung, the emptiness, the no thingness. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. The Tao is serene. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. If all these beings have got no understanding of the Tao. They're just attached to form, okay? Hustle and bustling, trying to, what can I get today? And I don't care who I've got to cheat, steal just to get for me. If you have no idea of what the Tao is, or not even an awareness of a spiritual dimension even, you will stumble in confusion. And sorrow. When you realize where you come from, I love this, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, and dignified as a king. In China, my Buddhist teacher, when I met my Buddhist teacher, I've been reading the Tao. The Tao Te Ching, out of all the texts in China, is considered the highest philosophy. So I told my Buddhist teacher that I'd been reading the Tao Te Ching for like 10 years, and she nearly fell over. She said, in China, it's not even recommended that you read it till you're over 40, because the nature of the Taoist practitioner, it typically is seen as being a grandparent, because a grandfather or a grandmother has paid off their house, they're retired, their kids are older, and they're more content. And if you see a happy grandparent, they're tolerant, they're disinterested, they don't get into arguments, they're happy to just let people argue and let it go. They're amused, they're kind-hearted, and they're dignified as well. So a lot of the Taoist masters, sages of the past, you wouldn't even recognize them. A lot of them got mistaken as being like homeless people, because they were just doing their, doing their own thing. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. No attachment to form. And when death comes, you are ready, because you understand what death is. Does anyone want to share anything on that? Okay.
I wish I knew it on Saturday, all this. Anyway, too late.
What happened on Saturday?
Too much.
But you know what? As much as you're saying you wish you knew this, and I understand we get overwhelmed by life situations, but each one of the chapters is sort of explaining every other chapter in this book. It comes down to understanding that there is a Tao, there is something there, and this is illusory, and not to attach to it. So the key, it's all, it's all the same. It's all the same teaching. Even if you're having a really hard time, I've had a lot of challenges as well myself. What Gratitude Week's all about, the opportunities to be grateful. And I know people going through a hard time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I understand it's hard, especially with family. Okay. When this is perfect for this week's condition. Okay, this chapter. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, amazing, we did it all by ourselves. This is a deep, deep chapter. When the true master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. I heard Osho explaining the difference between some of the sages of the past. And he was talking about Jesus, and they talking about Buddha. And he raised some good points. He said, he wasn't comparing any of them, but he said they're very different. The Buddha was very well educated. He was brought up a prince before he found the spiritual path. He had the best food, the best life. He was a great swordsman. Okay. Jesus was you know, a carpenter. He was more humble beginnings. And he said, but Lao Tzu, you would not have noticed. He would have been walking in the marketplace. He said, the Buddha you would have known was the Buddha because he's heavenly, okay? But he said, the Buddha was just the old guy that no one knew who he was and what he was doing, okay? This is the Taoist way, actually. The Taoists, there's a funny story. I don't know whether it's linked solely to Taoism, but a guy comes up to a Taoist sitting on a beach under a tree. And he says, what are you doing? You're just sitting here doing nothing. And he said, he just looked at him. And he said, why don't you go and get a job? And the Taoist says, and then what? He said, you go and get some clothes. And he said, and then what? He said, then you can go and, I don't know, buy a house. He said, and then what? And he said, well, you can go on holiday. And he said, and then what? He said, and then you can go and, you know, sit on the beach and sit under a tree. And the Taoist master said, he was already doing it. And this is beautiful because the Western mindset, let's say, is to get on the beach and sit under a tree. Maybe a lot of people think you've got to go and get a job, go and get good clothes, go and da-dun, 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 da-dun. The Taoist practitioners just go and sit under the tree. So when the master governs, the people hardly know he exists. He's a true master. He's not looking for recognition. The next best is one who is loved. So the leader that's loved by everybody is below the leader who no one knows he exists. And this is because they're in harmony with the Tao. We don't know what the Tao is. We can't touch it, feel it, smell it, but it gives life to everything. Its nature is humble. This week's condition is humility, by the way. So it's interesting that this has come up. The next is one who is feared. Okay, the next below loved is feared, and the worst one is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. That's the world that we're in right now. The people who govern the world, these politicians, they don't trust the people. They don't trust themselves. But they make the people become untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk. He acts. Doesn't tell people what to do. He does it. Leads by example. When his work is done, the people say, amazing, we did it all by ourselves. Because the best master you don't know exists. So when things get achieved, the people think they did it. And that's good. That's okay. The people can enjoy the benefits and the master's happy. Okay. Any questions on that?
I do, yeah, Nick. Hello.
Hello,
so a master leads by example. I'm trying to find a place in my mind where I can relate to that. So would that be similar to someone who is empowering other people? Like you're not taking credit for what they're achieving, but you're encouraging them, or you're, I'm just kind of thinking like parent-child relationship. I'm thinking in all different relationships, how that would actually look.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's many ways it could look. There's not one way it could look. But I'll give you an example. Over the past few weeks where I am, I've been to a few different groups in the area. And I'm not by any way saying that I'm a leader in any way, but I'm just saying, when you actually can understand people's nature, like when I actually, and Gene Keys has played a big part in this. Actually, one of my friends that we live with, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Gene Keys. I wasn't until I met her. So you basically find out your location of birth, your date of birth, time of birth, and you can really start to get someone's nature, purpose, things that even down to the collective trauma. For example, a couple of people, our friends, share guilt as being the part of the collective humanity's trauma that we take on, and it really resonates with them. Mine was rejection, and a few others were, I can't remember. There's a few others, but basically, I reflected on that. I was thinking about rejection, and I was thinking, do I really? And then I thought to myself, wow, my whole life, seriously, my whole life, I have got on with everyone. Obviously, there's a few people maybe I had issues with in the past, but if you looked at me in England, I used to have, I just knew everybody. I knew, like, I'd have people phoning me up saying they're gonna fight with such and such, and I'd be the one who calmed them all down because I was friends with all of them. And everywhere I go, I'm friends with everyone. I thought, maybe, that makes sense. There's obviously a part of me that must subconsciously not want to be rejected. So anyway, the reason why I'm saying this, Gene Keys, is that it's been beautiful for me to be able to see other people's natures, right? So rather than me telling people what to do, if I see somebody who's maybe getting criticized for something, or they're doing something, rather than telling them what to do, I just wait for them to ask. If they do ask for any advice or whatever, or if there's any way I can deliver it, I just share something that might help them to be a better version of themselves. Okay, so this might be one way of looking at it. Or you got to remember, the highest way you wouldn't know, because if you understand how the spiritual world works, remember, energy and matter are carriers of message. So if you have a spiritual teacher, let's say, and their spiritual practice, for example, is breathing in, like if you saw, we've spoken about it before, you see a community of people and everyone's arguing or everyone's talking, you've got one person who's sitting silent and they're doing spiritual practice, breathing in their suffering, transmuting it to light, chanting God's light, whatever you want to do. No one knows what they're doing, okay? But on a spiritual level, that practice is making a huge difference, way more than everybody else, just ego pointing, I've done this and you deserve this. And so this is all the turmoil of beings who've just gone over this. And if there's one person, who's changing the field by offering love, care, compassion, and bringing in these high frequencies and blessing everybody, they might come up with a great idea and solve the problems of the community and say, we did a great job then, okay? But they actually don't know that maybe the majority of the work was the spiritual work that someone was doing, or you didn't even know he was doing it. He never told anyone he was doing it neither. So that might be, there's many different ways that it can be expressed. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
That's so good. Any other questions? No.
I've got a question, Nick.
Yep.
Where is this? Because I couldn't find it in the books that I was given. So where do we get this from?
Get which from? This book?
The phrases that you've got. Yes, this book.
Yeah, this is Stephen Mitchell's version. So if you have a look, it's one of the most famous versions. It's actually not my favorite. I love it. It's a great text, very available text, very easy to, it's easier to understand. I do like Jia Fu Feng's version. That is a good version. There's many different translations. I'll share in the group a blog which has got nearly all of the English translations. So you can work your way through them and see what you think. But this is Stephen Mitchell's version.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Okay, we'll do one more chapter and then we'll do a meditation. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. I looked into filial piety. Does anyone know what filial piety is?
I don't even know what piety is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know what it was, and I might even. Does anyone else? Just before I go on, I had someone else there.
It's being humble, is it?
Yeah, possibly. I'll have to check it out again. When I checked out filial piety, it was basically the description was like a revering your revering your parents, like putting them on a pedestal. Let's see if I get that right. Don't want to confuse anyone. Yeah, the attitude of obedience, devotion, and care towards one parent and elder family members. So when the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. It's funny because my dad come over to see me once and read this, and he didn't understand this chapter. And I'm not saying I've got it right, but to my understanding, when the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. Okay, it's not humble. This is why it actually, if you look at Taoism and Confucianism, there's a bit of conflict there, because Confucianism, and I'm not saying Confucianism is bad, but Confucianism was all about basically being a good person by the state, being a good, like a do-gooder in society, if you like, which is not a bad thing, but it's definitely still influenced China today, where the Tao was very different. The Tao was more as close aligning with nature as possible. So when the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. So you think about when we're in a flow state, best way I can explain this. When you're in, if you're a dancer and you are so in the dance, you're not thinking, the body is dancing. Athletes get in this state, climbers get in this state, race car drivers get in this state. It's a body intelligence, it's a wholeness intelligence, okay? When that declines, the mind takes over. Now you look at people, use a simple example of diet, okay? A lot of people right now are eating what they think is the best thing to eat at the times they think is the best time to eat, with absolutely no regard to what the body is telling them. It's like, it's completely like you're disconnected, okay? So cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. It's, to my understanding, it's when there's no peace, when there's mind dominated, let's say, the kids are almost afraid of their parents, or they put their parents on a pedestal. I might be going off a little bit here, but I heard an awesome guy who does a lot of great work. I'm pretty sure he's Irish. And he spent time with some of the greatest minds, Joe Dispenza, Neil Donald Walsh, all these people. And no one could help him. He was struggling in life. I can't remember what he was struggling. I listened to this a long time ago. But basically, one person said, what was your relationship like with your father? And he said, oh, my father was the best man who's ever lived. He was this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And long story short, where they went with this was he'd put his father on so much of a pedestal, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. Okay, it's good. I love my father. You know, I speak very highly of my father. But it was like he was always below his father. He could never live up to his own vision of his father. And And that's what comes to my mind when I read this sentence. I'd love to hear your feedback. My dad didn't understand this section, actually. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. Okay, so when we look at patriots, it's like, that is chaotic. I remember there was a movie released, and I never watched the movie, and it was based off the American Sniper. He was a gentleman, he's dead now, but he apparently killed more people than anybody else. They reckon as a sniper, he'd had the most kills in history or whatever. And he was on like a main like interview platform in America. And he called the host, the interviewer. He said, "Excuse me, sir," called him sir. And the host turned around and said, "Don't call me sir. You're the hero. You're the guy who's killed X amount of people." And I always remember thinking about this, because I was like, we praise people for being patriotic. It's like we missed the point of we're all one. You know what I mean? Does anybody want to share on that? There's many layers to this, and I'd love to hear your feedback.
It's very deep, Nick. I like to think about it. It just puts you into that deepness.
It's good because it actually makes us reflect on our own life as well, and what we think is normal and what have you. And there's no right, wrong. Don't attach to any of this. And if insights come throughout the week through the practice, please share them in the group. I love hearing people's insights into the text or anything.
Coming up to me is the kids programs that we run, and we've from the beginning we've spoken about the greatness within, and a lot of the kids have never heard that. We know that there's a greatness within you, but what happens in that 5 days is they start to realize it themselves, and it comes out. So, from when they start to when they leave, they're totally different kids. We have parents ringing us up and saying, "What have you done to my child?" So, and this and the last one, I can relate that, to this, because, it's amazing. And it's not us, it's actually allowing that greatness within them to start to shine. It's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for doing a great work. And that inner greatness is in every tradition. So in Taoism, it's called the Tao within. Buddhism, they call it Buddha nature, Christ nature. It's true. It's very important that we acknowledge that, especially in kids. Does anyone else want to share before we do a practice?
Sorry, you do it. I'm good. That's okay. Lucy, you speak.
No worries, Debbie. Look, I'll just very, very, very quickly, just based on what you said, Nick, what came up for me was just that we're all equal. No one's higher than the other. But that was my understanding from what you shared, and that felt true for me as well. It's like, we are all one, we are all equal. So was that what you were saying essentially, or have I missed the mark?
No, it's actually it's a simple way of, I could have just saved 10 minutes of blabbling on just by saying that. So yeah, you nailed it.
Oh, okay.
It's true, because even in the family dynamic, it's very important that we respect our parents. Otherwise, the family dynamic is definitely not harmonious. I think that is very important. But at the same time, there's still got to be an equanimity. Everyone's the same. Do you know what I mean? There's still got to be a mutual respect for everyone in the house. And so yeah, I think you nailed it. Thank you. Debbie, were you going to say something?
Just on one time I stayed with my family in Scone, and I mentioned to the little ones about what you think about, you become. So one time I seen Harrison, he took to bed with him and slept with his champion trophy. And you know, he won so much championships after that. He even come third in the Stockman's Challenge, which is in Victoria.
Awesome.
And I feel that by he was thinking how good he was at doing something, he created it.
I agree,
That
but
was
I've got a question for you.
me.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what?
Do you
Pardon?
do you do it?
Manifest.
Do
I
you
try. Doesn't work.
So, you know, it's a good point. It's an important point, because obviously I know me and you have spoke privately. We won't go into that. But, you
Yes.
know, if you're sharing that information with somebody and you're seeing how that's made a difference in that person's life, then
Yeah.
if we're sharing that, we should be very careful and very conscious of applying it ourselves. So whatever you want to see in the world, okay, you focus on what you want to see in the world. A lot of people are sharing information right now they've got no way of proving, they've never experienced, and I don't think they realize the effects it's having on other people. And you know, I think right now it's very important that we protect our gates, what we see, what we say, what we hear. And now's the time to do a lot of spiritual practice. It really is, and for multiple reasons as well. Because one, we'll change the world, our world. Two, it's what humanity needs. But I tell you something else, which a lot of people miss: the environment right now. And I'm talking about the time, the fractal time that we're in. If you do an hour's deep meditation right now, I believe it would be the equivalent of doing 10 hours meditation, because it's like riding a wave. It's like a surfer riding a wave right now. The energies that are supporting change, we can ride them. So that's why we should be doing meditations. I'm actually thinking when we finish this, however long this takes, this Tao Te Ching group, when we get to the end, hopefully I'll be in the different property. I'm going to get my Love, Peace, Harmony calligraphies out. I'm going to do a short presentation. And if you guys want, I'm going to start, we will start a weekly meditation where it's just, we come together and we do a meditation, a Love, Peace, Harmony meditation for the whole. It's a selfless hour. We turn up to meditate for the whole in the Tao Chang, the source field, with the calligraphies, massive calligraphies. And it will be the fastest way to heal and purify ourselves, our loved ones, our families, and the world. So if you guys are keen, that's what I'll be doing.
I love the sound of that.
You
Nick.
would love that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I was going to do this practice tonight, but I'm going to leave this till next week. This is just the yin yang energy circles. I'll just introduce it now, but we'll actually do it next week. So you guys can see where my mouse is, can't you? Yep. You can see me moving that, can you?
Yes.
Okay. So my teacher says the first chakra here, right? Whenever we do practices like this one, we always keep our focus here. And we let the sound move the energy. So each one of the 7 chakras, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up the center. The back is the Waijiao, which we've covered. All the way down to the Kundalini, or the Snow Mountain. Directly behind the navel here is the Ming Men. It's acupuncture point, actually. Very sacred location. 3 acupuncture points. I'll share this here. Top one, that's heaven's energy in. Bottom, Mother Earth's energy. This is the Tao point. And then we have the lower Dantian at the front. Chanting the mantra, so they each have a sound to vibration, to vibrate them, stimulate them. So it's hey, Hong, Hong, Ah, Shi, Yi, Wong, Yo. Yo vibrates right down the back. So you chant it this way, it is the energy channel, okay? Purifying energy. Chant it the other way, Yo, Wong, Yi, Shi, Ah, Hong, Hong, Hey. That is the matter channel. When these channels are clear, your whole life will change. I really mean that. You will have healing in the physical, mental, spiritual body. Your channels will open up. Now, Master Sha once explained that he said, if you think of the air, if the air is polluted, the trees, the ocean, humans, life will be polluted. Okay. So by clearing the space, it heals the land. When the air is clean, everything thrives. So this is what the spaces in the body are for. So one way it's Hei hong hong ga shi wong yo. Hei hong hong ga shi wong yo. The other way, yo wong yi shi ya hong hong hei. Yo hong yi shi ya hong hong hei. And there's actually a Shen channel, okay, that he released in his last Tao book. And we can go into that as well next week. Very powerful practices. And I'll play Master Sha singing them as well. They're very beautiful pieces of music. So I just thought I'd lay the foundation there. We'll go into this next week. But for now, we're going to do a meditation based on this week's condition, which is this third chakra, humility. Da Chembe, that's spelled wrong.
Nick, before we do, because I don't want to sort of interrupt you when we come back, can I just say that I'm actually starting to get a little bit hooked on these mantras that you're sharing with us. You know, like I remember I had resistance, a fair bit of resistance beforehand until I cleared that.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, yay, we're going to do another one. You know, it really excites me. And so I just wanted to ask if, like what you just did, I would love if we could have, you know, a recording to that effect. And I feel like the 30 minutes that you do, like was based on the other ones that I've been listening to in the soundtrack thingo, it feels like a really good, powerful time to be doing this in the 30 minutes. So I'm just putting that out there. That's all.
Okay. All good. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's so many mantras, and they're so nice. And as much as I always say, when you find your mantra, you'll find your mantra. It's also very nice to experience a different mantra, what it's doing in the body, observe what it's doing in the body, and just see how you feel. You know, is the energy increase? It's the same as if you were doing breathing. You want to do Wim Hof method, or you want to do a pranayama breathing technique. You think, oh wow, I feel energized. I feel this, that, and the other. You know, it's the same with the spiritual practice. It's the same as doing exercise. These are. If you ever do a physical workshop with me, I hope one day we can get to do one. There's a few people, I know Nicholas and Cheryl have done physical workshops with me. Mainly the first day, it's like going to a boot camp, exercise boot camp. We just do a lot of practice, focus on a lot of practice, strengthening the body, opening the body, and the spiritual channels. So hopefully we can do one of them at some point in the future.
Yeah, when's that, Nick?
Yeah, hopefully I might have a look and see what happens. Just see what happens in the new year.
I'd love to. Sorry I missed you when you were up this way.
I didn't see many people this time. I was so busy.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So if you just look at this image here, it's not the best triangle. I'm still getting the hang of this keynote. But imagine this imagine this is a mountain, okay? The base of the mountain is our foundation. The stronger we build our foundation, we are unshakable, we're grounded, we're solid. The heart is open as the sky. And the wisdom mind is empty, it sees everything as empty, the Buddhist version of emptiness. Okay? Everything is empty of a separate self-identity and interconnected and interdependent with everything else. And with that wisdom mind, it's like we can stand at the top of the mountain and we can see over the landscape. So I'm going to do a practice here, which is from my teacher, which is very beautiful. So I invite everyone to close your eyes and place both hands over your lower abdomen. And just for this section, I've just showed you the mountain covering the whole center of the body, but just for this section, go to your Kundalini area, which is at the base of your spine, and see vast mountains, snow-peaked like Himalayan mountains in this space. The energy of the mountains is nourishing this energy center. I'll even share right now, my heat levels have just gone through the roof. So just be aware of anything that's changing in the body. We're going to see snow-capped mountains, clean, crisp, fresh air in this location. And now where your mind is the sun. And as we observe the snow-capped mountains, it's like the sun of the mind is shining on these Himalayan snow-capped mountains, spiritual sacred mountains. And they're warming up. The heat of the day is warming these mountains. And what's happening is the ice is beginning to melt. And you can see beautiful, clean, pure steam coming off these mountains. And that steam is entering into your spine, and it's moving up your spine, nourishing your spinal column, cleaning your spinal fluid, cleaning the energy in the spine, in the wide jaw, creating space in between your vertebrae and your discs. And as it moves up to the top of the spine, your palate, it starts to accumulate clouds. So there's clouds where your palate is. And as this steam turns into clouds, it starts to rain into your mouth. Put your tongue at the tip of your mouth and feel any saliva accumulate in your mouth. And once it's rained all in your mouth, there's no clouds left. If you have any saliva, you see that as golden liquid. We swallow that down the center channel, and it builds our lower dantian, builds our jindan, our longevity center. And now the sun, again, from the mind, shining on the mountains, and the steam from the snow-capped mountains, it's going up the spine, cleaning the spine, forming clouds in the palate, which is creating beautiful, clean rain into your mouth. And then we swallow down sacred liquid into our lower dantian. And we'll do one more round. Beautiful morning sun shining on the snow-capped mountains. And the steam entering the spine, nourishing the spinal column, creating clouds in the palate, creates rain into the mouth. And when you're ready, you can swallow that down into your lower dantian. Please excuse any noise you can hear in my background. I've got the pups, they're just about to go out and start barking. It's okay. And just stay with the breath now. And see that solid mountain, Mount Everest, be in your being. No matter what happens, it's unshakable. But at the same time, it's humble. Everyone sees it, everyone worships it, but it doesn't want to be seen. It just does what it does. The nature of nature is humility. It's humble. So where the navel is, I'm going to place one hand on the navel, one hand just below the navel. And see light, Dagan En, greatest light in the first soul house. A Jindan in the second soul house of gratitude, Dagan En, Da Guang Ming, Dagan En. And then behind the navel is Da Qianbei, Qianbei, humility. So feel humble. Be blameless. What does that look like? What does it look like to be blameless? You're not blaming anyone for anything. Be harmless. Harm less. No harm in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our speech. Be like the Tao. Be with God. And see a jindan, a humility jindan in this third chakra or soul house. This similar location is where the Kongon is as well, which is a key energy, a key center. It's where the oil lamp is. So every chance we get this week, we're going to practice humility. And whenever we can, we're going to place at least one hand over our navel. And fill our oil lamp. If we do any service this week, if we help anybody out, try and do it so it's yin service. No one knows what we've done. And it doesn't have to be physical. It can be chanting a mantra for someone. But the only people who know is you and heaven. You don't want anything in return for it. Humility in the Tao Lao Tzu explains as being like a flower. If someone's depressed and they see a flower, it can cheer them up. But the flower was just being a flower. It didn't say, I'm going to help this person, or it didn't want any recognition once it had done it. It just was a flower, humble, beautiful, present. The second we do something for virtue, we've lost the virtue. Or chant a mantra. Da Qianbei. The soul of Da Qianbei. All of these are a consciousness. They have committees. My teacher said they have committees in heaven. There is a love committee. There is a humility committee. Call on them. Dear Da Qianbei committees, please bless us. Please nourish us and Wanling with the greatest humility. See the light, feel the light of humility. Each light has its own frequency and vibration. Wisdom. Da Qianbei. 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 Greatest humility. Greatest humility. Greatest humility. Greatest humility. Da Qianbei. Da Qianbei. Da Qianbei. Da Qianbei. I invite everybody to make a request for a healing. I'm going to offer a spiritual healing. If you don't want to receive a healing, that's fine. Just say no thank you to heaven, because I'm not offering healing. Make a request if you do want a healing, and don't limit it. Okay, ask for anything. Finances, relationships, health, mindset, anything. And call in 3 loved ones. See them come and sit for this blessing. Put your request out to heaven, and then be grateful and let it go. Expect nothing, no attachments. And just stay with the breath and feel open. Allow yourself to receive. Blessings start. You. Hey, you. Hey. Hey, you. Hey, hey, you. Hey, you, yeah. Hey, you, yeah. He. Ta Chien Bei. You. Hey, you. Hey, you. Hey, you. Hey, you. You, 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 yeah, 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 you, you. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, you, yeah, hey, you. Hey, I love you. I love all of you. Hey, you. Hey, you. Silent blessing. Just feel the body. Just feel grateful to heaven. Okay. I'm very grateful that I can offer these blessings. It's not coming from me. When you're ready, place your hands in the traditional prayer position. Give all our love and appreciation to the spiritual world. And we say, how means perfect. Get well. We say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. Gong song, gong song, gong song means respectfully return. And whenever you're ready, if anyone wants to ask any questions before we sign out or share anything, please feel free. We've got another 5 minutes or so. Nice to be with you all again. Missed you all last week.
I'd like to share. The whole time that we've been on here, I've had an excruciating pain in my left part of my shoulder, and through some of the meditation, I was actually like moving through the pain. And then through that blessing, that's what I asked for, was to release a bit of the pain. And it's actually completely gone. Like I was sitting here going, yeah, it's just my mind. But I feel really good. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sometimes it's like, I've heard it explained, it's like a hose. If there's a kink in a hose, there's a lot of light, a lot of energy going through. It might feel pressure, a lot of pain until it releases. So yeah, thanks for sharing. Okay.
That was beautiful, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All good, guys. It was lovely to be with you. I'll see you again next week. So this week's humility. So practice being humble. And yeah, have a lovely week. Any questions, please ask me. Any things, if I forgot anything, please remind me. And yeah, please share. I like hearing what you guys are going through, and any insights, breakthroughs, or even challenges or anything, you know. So have a lovely week. Da Chembe. I'll write out how you pronounce and spell Da Chembe. And I'll do that right now. And I'll see you all next week. Have a lovely week. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Love you.
Thanks for letting us bring other people in too. That was really, really helpful.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't thank me.
Well, you instigated it all. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.